I just finished Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. Let's talk about it. So let's obviously start with Throne of Glass, the first book in the series of the same name. I have some notes here I'm going to be reading, and we'll talk about it. So, book one in the series of the same name, Throne of Glass. Kalina has spent a year in hell, known as Endovier, a slave camp in Ardalan. Her crimes, being an assassin with friends worse than her. Her year of slavery is ended when Dorian, Prince of Ardalan, picks her out of the darkness below and escorts her to the capital. He wishes her to compete in the upcoming trials to become the king's champion. First of all, don't you love that cover? I've seen some people say that they prefer the older covers, and I've seen some of them, but I honestly don't like covers that have the main characters on them. I'd rather imagine for myself what they look like, so I like this cover. All right, reading off my notes, here is my summary for Crown of Midnight. Having survived the trials to become the king's champion and in uncovering a world of ancient mystery in her own very walls, Kalina moves onto the next great challenge, her relationships. Dun dun dun. But seriously, I love the romance in this book. It's appropriately done, I think. It's tactful, it's tasteful, it's respectful. It is mature for sure, so don't expect there to be nothing going on, if you know what I mean. But I think it's done respectfully. So while Kalina is learning to open up to this new romance possibility, she is uncovering rebel roots and playing a deadly game of double spy, which we love that. We love to see that. While espionage happens on the streets outside the castle, our main character stumbles upon a haunting in the dark corners of the palace library and finds connections from the highest power to the darkest evil. So she finds that the roots of evil run deep and high and wide, which is very cool how it's all unraveled. Let's see. This book brings on two, or hinges, sorry, not brings, it hinges on two deaths in particular. I won't say whose, obviously, because I'm trying to be spoiler free. One has devastating consequences immediately throughout the rest of this book, and the other, I actually did not fully understand the ramifications until Heir of Fire. So this is definitely a book that starts out really positive and joyful and kind of great for everybody, and then really follows downhill fast. But the plot thickens, and isn't that the old turn of phrase? It's a fantastic read, honestly. I really enjoyed it. So what made me obviously pick this up is continuing the world. And I stayed for the jarring twist that happens in chapters 27 through 29. If you know, you know. Oh my gosh, right in the middle did it just explode. And I just finished Heir of Fire, and the fire has not stopped burning. It's absolutely craziness. So some pleasant surprises were definitely the way that the characters have important parts to play. I really appreciated that each of them had a role in the unfolding of the mystery, and there was no just like person perched in the corner for like the aesthetics or the vibes. Everyone had something to actually do and needed to be them. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, oh, you're the main character, of course you're discovering this, but it made sense to who the characters were, that they would do the things they did and unravel the things that they unraveled. So that was awesome. Trying to see. Oh, I also really appreciated how they were uncovering ancient and archaic runes, piecing together the mystery. This book was full of mystery, which was really cool. I did not expect that arc to happen, but I really appreciated that. Very much like finding out the secrets deep in the tunnels, that kind of thing. Putting together runes like a fantastical escape the room, but with high stakes. Some unpleasant surprises. It's pretty sad, honestly, but it made sense for the plot, so it wasn't necessarily like a turn off or a turn away, but it's it's pretty sad. If you know, you know, but you should definitely read it. Hurts my heart. We love that. Anyway, Overall, I would say this left me impressed with the world building. It definitely left me impressed with the character development and the arc. And I had to read the next book. Like there was not a question of if. It was like a for sure thing. I would give this probably a 4 out of 5. I like this better than the first one because the plot continues and you know a lot more about the characters now, and so many more things happen. So definitely better than the first one. Again, a 7 out of 10 if we're doing 1 out of 10. I do recommend. It is a satisfactory addition, and it does lead in perfectly to Heir of Fire, which we will talk about next. All right, Heir of Fire, in direct contrast to Crown of Midnight, I actually really don't like the color choices for this. What is that green? Like it's not it. But anyway, let's go over the plot summary for Heir of Fire. Okay, picture this. Your favorite training montage. Okay, so you're picturing your favorite training montage from a movie that you've seen or a book that you've read. The montage where the hero is beat down again and again because of sadness, anger, despair, but then is brought back from the depths by the power of friendship. Now, add some fire, add some animal alter egos, and make it precisely 562 pages, and you have Heir of Fire. Now, all jokes aside, it was literally just training the whole time. There were different POVs, so that definitely made it interesting, but it was a training montage, the whole thing, all 562 pages. Let's see, what else did I have to say? You do get more of Kalena's story and how she healed from the Crown of Midnight tragedy. If you remember, I said that one was really sad. So obviously she starts this book a sad little depressed potato, but she definitely has a healing arc, which was amazing to read. As much as I teased it at the beginning, saying it was just a training montage, I just had to get that joke out of the way because it really is. But there's so much more to it than just that. It is such a deep dive into how she healed and what she's healing from, which we actually hadn't seen or heard about in the first 2 books. So crucial to the series, and I'm glad that Sarah J. Maas took that much time to go deep into it. You do also get a lot more into Chowl and Dorian. Let's see, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my notes here because I had some good things to say about them, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, Chowl and Dorian are having a hard time in this book. While Kalena's having a healing arc, things are getting worse for the boys. It's not going well. But enter a brand new character, Rowan, who I think is amazing. I really like him a lot. He might be the best character so far, and he's just in this book. And honestly, I really like him a lot. I love his whole thing with the tattoos, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. There's more to it than that, but you gotta just go read it for yourself. All right. Honestly, while I was interested in Kalena's growth, it was really Rowan's new layer of character arc that he brought to her, and his whole vibe that really kept me reading. So, I'm so glad I wrote this down. Also, there's witches and a whole witches coven having their whole How to Train Your Dragon moment, training wyverns. Like, come on, that is so cool. I love dragons in my fantasy books. So having a whole arc dedicated to brand new characters of witches and dragons, well, wyverns, and I appreciate that Sarah J. Maas knows the difference. But having that included was so cool. I don't think they're definitely the bad guys, but I kind of love them. So villains for the win in this case. Although I'm curious to see how the main witch character, I wonder what she's gonna be like by the end of the series. Anyway, So while reading through the first time, it didn't necessarily feel like a chore, which I have heard that some people who didn't like this book, they said that it felt like a chore reading it. It didn't really feel like a chore to me, although I don't necessarily know what the readability is like of this. I don't know what the readability is like. It's for sure necessary to the series, obviously. Some really fantastic moments, but once you know it, you kind of know it, and I don't really know if you would I don't really know if I would enjoy rereading it, but still worthwhile, totally. So I gave this a 3.5 stars out of 4. I took off a half because of this one moment in the very beginning, like literally here. Okay, so you got all this left. So all this was great, but here she meets Rowan, and then she's doing this one thing, and then she turns and goes with Rowan and does this whole other side arc quest that I was like, where is this coming from? It's gonna go meet her aunt, who was one of the Great Fae, and I knew that. I knew her. Oh, that was a spoiler. Sorry, but come on, if you're on book 3, you've already known that. So, actually, they introduced that in book 1, so it's not even that much of a spoiler. But like, she was going to this place to do a certain thing, and I won't tell you that because that is a spoiler, but then she just doesn't even do it, and the end of the book she still hasn't done it, and I'm like, okay, we're not gonna ever explain that at all. I don't know, I might have missed something, but that's why I took 3.5 instead of 4 stars, because I was, for the first part of it, I was kind of confused. By the end it made a little bit more sense, but it was never like fully addressed in my opinion, so I don't know. But all that to say, it definitely left me feeling hopeful and energized for the rest of the series. Hopeful for Kalina. Poor Dorian. If you know, you know. Poor Dorian. But by the end of this book, oh, my poor little precious baby prince. But Chowl is having an interesting turn, and Dorian, we'll see. But Kalina's doing good. Proud of her. So that is my wrap-up summary. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that there. For the first 3 in the Throne of Glass series, I'm very excited to read the rest. And let me know which of your favorites, or which one is your favorite in the Throne of Glass series, and I will see you next time. Happy reading!